You got the widget. Three legs. You got the pintail. In Louisiana, we have a little round piece of meat in the top of our throat. It hangs down. Y'all got one of them? If you ever wondered what that was for, the reason the Almighty gave you that is so you could sound like a pintail. If you didn't have that little piece of meat hanging down in the back of your throat, what you'd be getting instead of a pintail is this. That's heavy equipment backing up. Don't call anything. But with that little piece of meat, you're going. Therefore, that's the reason the Almighty gave it to you. Now, here's the old gadwall. One lick at a time. Don't get fancy. Don't do that. One lick at a time. Here's the old mallard drake. I'm humming a bass note. I'm going, low as you can go. And I'm opening my mouth and it comes out. I'm the first man in the history of mankind that ever figured that out. And it was a pretty good deal because the only way you could get one, once I figured it out and I got a patent on that, the only way you could get one, Tennessee, is give me $20. Bingo! Times are hard out here on the river, so we're down the woodies. You want to give him the sitting call. Don't give him the, because that's when he's flying, and if you're flying and he's flying, everybody flying, nobody knows where to come back to. So if he's flying, you got to be sitting. So look, you get out there on them little sloughs off the river, you get up in a thick spot, you hear them woodies out there. So you go to answer them, and they'll answer you. You shake the water a little bit with your hand. Shake the water a little bit. And they'll answer you in about 10 minutes. Listen, they'll just swim up there real easy. See, you're hidden, you got your gun barrel stuck through the brush. Well, you got a Bible verse that says, arise, kill, and eat. Look, I said times are hard and you're down to hunting wood ducks. The last thing you want to do is flush them up and make it hard on yourself. Look, just ground swat them and get it over with. You'll get more. So the telephone rings and the guy wants to order a duck call. I said, yes, sir. Give me your name and address. In the course of this guy giving me his name and address, he used God's name in vain about 5 times. After about the 5th time, I got his name and address and what kind of duck call he wanted. I said, let me ask you something. Why would you curse the only one I know of who could save you from death? And there was silence. I said, you still there? He said, yeah, Hoss, you got my duck call coming? I said, I got it on the way. Bong. About 10 minutes went by, the phone rings again. He said, hey, it's me again. I said, well, the question's still on the table. Why would you curse? Unless you got some information that I'm not privy to, why would you curse God? I said, I don't get it. I said, you are going to die, aren't you? He said, yeah, I'm going to die. I said, well, you're cursing the only one I know of that can save you from that. Bring you back out of the ground. He said, Mr. Robertson, I've never thought about that. I said, well, you ought to. I said, you know what you ought to do? He said, what's that? I said, let's see, you're from Alabama. I said, you ought to get in your rig, you ought to drive over here. I'll tell you a story about the one you're cursing. You may change your mind about him. He said, I just might do that. I said, you ought to. About a week later, knock on the door. I said, come in. This guy steps in the door. He had his buddy with him. He said, you know who I am? I said, I don't think I know you. He said, I'm the guy that was cursing God. I said, so you did come? He said, I gotta know. What I told him, Tennessee, is what I'm fixing to tell y'all. You know what the guy did? And his friend. They cried. They wept on my living room floor. I took them down the river and I baptized them, and I said, you boys want to change your dry clothes? I'll throw them in the dry and dry your clothes for you. They said, no, sir, we're good to go. On up the road they went. I forgot about that guy for 17 years. But I spoke at a church over in Alabama. Miss Kay said, Phil, you got a church in Alabama we're going to speak at. So I go over there. I'd long forgotten that guy. That'd been 17 years back. And some guy came up there and he said, Robertson, you remember the guy that called you up that was cursing God? I said, I remember that dude. He said, he's one of the leaders of this church now. See how it works, Tennessee? Just one phone call. Look, you can sit in church buildings for 40 years and your society and your culture will crumble all around you, and it'll all go down, and you're still inside that church building. I love to meet together with the brothers. I love it. But you got to remember something, Tennessee. We've got to get this back into our culture.